Aloha folks, and welcome to today's video. Today is November 4th, 2021, and it is our new moon in Scorpio. It's good to be back doing these after taking a quick hiatus for the full moon in Aries. So now that I've reset my Mars signs, you could say, Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Let's take a quick look at this chart here. Okay, so if you're in the Las Vegas Valley like me, the new moon would have perfected at 2:15 in the afternoon. And you can see here, we have the sun and the moon both at 12 degrees, 40 minutes. And we have Mars over here also in Scorpio, his own sign. And fascinating enough, using the tropical zodiac, Mars is at 3 degrees, 33 minutes. Huh, how interesting. How interesting. Now, I know everybody out there is not using tropical zodiac, and that's fine. We don't need to get into that. We don't need to get into why. I will say that when you use sidereal, even in sidereal, there's a big debate as to when and where exactly constellations begin. At least with tropical, we know we're going to put 0 degrees Capricorn right on the winter in the North solstice, and the equinoxes are 0 degrees Aries and Libra. It's just far easier to say this is exactly when the 0 degree is going to start using the tropical zodiac, although I'm sure someone could argue for sidereal. So anyway, it's just really interesting that on this particular new moon, we have the ruler of the sign at 3 degrees, 33 minutes. That's so funny. There it is, Mars, 333. How funny. So where did I want to go with this? Well, first off, I wanted to talk about the new moon a little bit, because as you can see here, hang on, let me reduce my orb. I don't like it when we've got wide orbs. A lot less lines on our graph, isn't there? But the main line, the big important line, is this red line showing a near perfect opposition of the sun and moon with Uranus. See, 12 degrees, 40 minutes. See, 12 degrees, 47 minutes. So Uranus represents this force, or it's the energy of being in the moment. Energy of being in the moment is Uranus. And I was really contemplating it today because I just found myself amongst friends and I was just watching them, kind of a spectator in a conversation. And being that we have the sun and moon conjunct as a new moon, and we have Uranus in complete perfect opposition, pretty much, we have the full light of awareness of being in the moment. There is something finally coming to light as a result of being in the moment. And it's interesting because you could even say that when the sun and moon come together every single month for a new moon, it's like that moment when the past and present come together. And that's why it's about planting the seed. Past and present are coming together. Why? So that something new can be put forth going into the future. But interesting, because Uranus has no interest in the past or the future. Uranus is interested in right now. There is a beat, there's a pulse, and how would I explain it? It's people who know what it's like to be in the zone. If you're a musician or an artist, or you play sports, maybe you're not into sports, but maybe you're into some version of athleticism, like skiing, unicycling. Unicycle is good because you're all by yourself, but whenever you're doing something like that, there gets to be the zone where you're in the zone, you're fully in the moment, you're fully immersed. Immersed is a good one because that's the Scorpio theme. You're fully immersed in what you're doing. You need to be completely present with the moment in order to, if you're skiing, not run into a tree. That's very Uranian. To, if you're not in the moment, you're going to run into a tree. That's very opposite of Uranian. But at the same time, where does this unpredictability come from that Uranus is always associated with? Well, there is a degree of unpredictability with being in the moment, because when you think about problem solving, if you're not fully immersed in the moment and really taking in what's happening, then you might not be able to pull this so-called wild, crazy idea out of thin air. Well, it wasn't out of thin air. It was that you were really paying attention. You were fully present. And sometimes the right thing for that situation is considered to be unpredictable. Why? Because most people are going to be operating within the realm of Saturn. And Saturn is the boundary planet, right? It's the furthest planet that we can see with the naked eye. And Saturn is very much about, what are we doing for tomorrow? Because tomorrow comes, tomorrow looms. And it's November here in the Northern Hemisphere. So when we get into the colder months, the Saturnian months, if you haven't prepared for winter, you'll starve. There's opposing energies here with Saturn and Uranus. And I'll get into a moment why it's so important and relevant to Mars. Uranus cares only about right now. There is no such thing in Uranus's world as the next moment or the previous. But there is in Saturn's world. Saturn says of what we need to do each day, we need to be disciplined because tomorrow looms. And if we don't have the things we need, and if those things that we have aren't worthy in terms of durability and long lasting and vital, well, when winter comes, we're just going to starve, freeze if we don't have the blankets and the shelter. So there's these two opposing energies. And this month, Mars is going to be a bit of a bridge for those opposing energies. So let's have a look at this chart again. Okay, not this page. Actually, I've got it open over here. So here, right here, Mars. On the 10th, Mars is going to square Saturn. Why is this important? Why is Mars so important? Because Mars is in the 3rd degree of 33 minutes in his own sign, which we're having our new moon. So this new moon is really charging Mars up, you could say, activating him. So in less than a week, he's going to square Saturn. And that square is an interesting one. We're going to go over here. Saturn is already square to Mars by a whole sign. And if you give more of an orb, like he's a 4-degree orb. They're making a 4-degree orb right now, being at 3 and 7. So a square is a really driving energy. Why is a square driving? Well, because whenever you're dealing with a square in astrology, you're dealing with a both yin and yang sign, or masculine and feminine, or diurnal and nocturnal. Okay, Scorpio is a water sign. Water is yin, it's feminine, it's a nocturnal sign. Aquarius is yang, it's masculine, it's diurnal. And one of the things that happens when you take masculine and feminine energies and you put them together is you create creation. You get drive. Things are going to happen when you bring the left and the right, the yin and the yang, whatever. When you bring those together, there's action, there's drive and force. So that's the square, is there's going to be a need to achieve with regard to making things lasting. And I was talking with friends recently that Saturn gets such a bad rap for all the pressure of getting rid of things that don't serve, because Saturn's not emotional, and humans are emotionally want to keep things, and that's all fine and dandy. But sometimes Saturn wants us to go get things that we don't have because we need them. My example of going through the winter with Saturn is if you don't have warm blankets and a proper shelter, Saturn, especially when coupled with Mars, is going to pressure you to go get them. So if you need to get things, go get them this month. Allow yourself to be immersed in the things that you're trying to achieve, and allow yourself to be disciplined in the sense of go get those things that you need and get rid of those things that you're coming to recognize you no longer need. Because what's happening shortly thereafter on the 17th, so 1 week after the perfection of the square between Mars and Saturn, 1 week later on the 17th, just before the day before the full moon, it's Mars' turn to be opposite Uranus. And Mars and Uranus is not considered a fun combination. Here's why. Mars is about achievement, right? Mars is going to go do things. Mars all by himself is not necessarily aggressive. Mars is definitely a doer. He's an achiever. Mars can be really playful, depending on what he's trying to achieve. Mars and Saturn is a disciple. That is Mars and Saturn, is this achievement for things that are long lasting. But Uranus, again, is in the moment. Uranus doesn't care about the past or the future, only the present. And think about, gosh, I have these friends, this married couple. They're great. When we play board games together, their disclaimer is we're not married when we're playing board games. And to me, that's like a benign example of trying to explain what Mars and Uranus come together. Like we're in the moment, we're playing the game. The fact that you and I are married, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to achieve winning this game, and I'm fully immersed in all the potential moves that I could make. So because of this need to achieve and being fully in the moment, there is, to me, it's very, very much like sports. And when you look at that with sports, you get aggressive behavior because you're trying to win. I'm shaking the table. You're trying to win, and you are in the game. It doesn't matter to you whether or not you're married to the opponent, using my example of my friends. So aggression tends to be what happens when you get both Mars and Uranus coming together, because it's an achieving at all costs, because there's only right now. I must achieve now. Because there's no next moment. So yeah, so about a week later, there's going to be some potential, a lot of people talk about explosions happening with Mars and Uranus, and it can be, it's this explosive aggression in a sense, because there is a need to achieve, driving that movement, that action. So be aware of what it is you're trying to achieve. Really be aware of what it is you're trying to achieve this month, at least for the next 2 weeks, definitely until the full moon. What are you trying to achieve? What are you immersed in? And the thing that is important to balance whatever you're immersed in, because when we get immersed in certain things, we get so wrapped up. Sometimes we can want things to happen faster than they are. Well, that's Taurus being the balancer of Scorpio. Is Taurus is saying, hey, you're fully immersed in this, and you want the things that you want to have happen, because again, Scorpio is ruled by Mars. So Scorpio immerses itself in things in order to achieve something. Typically, transformation is what happens when you allow yourself to be fully immersed in an experience. that experience changes you, but you change the world in return, right? So sometimes we get immersed and we're just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, more, 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 more. I want it all, I want it all, and I want it all to happen. Now let's go, let's go. That's the achievement, the pushy energy of Mars. But Taurus, on the other hand, is like, yo, slow down. Slow down. It takes 9 months to gestate a human baby. Sure, you can give birth to the baby 1-2 months early and the baby will live. Baby will be relatively fine. However, there will most likely be some level of developmental issues and extra sets of challenges because the baby was not given its space in order to take the time to develop naturally and properly and slowly on its own accord. There is a slow Taoist-like unflowering process that Taurus emulates, and it balances this immersive energy of Scorpio. So going back to what I was saying, really ask yourself, what is it you're trying to achieve? And keep an eye on yourself in the sense of allowing certain things to unfold naturally, really keeping your eye on your willingness to be pushy in order to get the things that you think you need done. Really keep an eye on that because Uranus, he's electrical for a reason. Okie dokie. Thanks, guys.